Well, it's been a little while since I last uploaded, and people are asking where I've been. Last video I uploaded was in December of 2020, so a couple things have probably changed. For instance, we're in a new year, and I do have a new intro. One year ago, I got this Lenovo M78 small form factor. It's a Think Center series, and yeah, it's just a PC starting of my kind of home lab type thing. Now, I was gonna do like a rendering server type thing because I thought it was a quad core. Really was a glorified dual core pretty much, or at least had the kind of the same performance as one. Today we got a little bit something different. Actually, one of the things we do have is an upgrade, an actual mechanical keyboard, which is nice because the one I was using before was terrible. I forget what this is. This is a G502 mouse and a Logitech G810, which this isn't a Cherry MX or anything like that. And now I'm officially part of the PCMR, so I don't know. Well, in fact, that's not the reason why we are here today. This is the reason we are here. Okay, so we got a real server here. This is a Dell PowerEdge R710, and it's a little bit older, but these things were pretty powerful. Unfortunately, it doesn't have drive bays, which is okay. I'll get those. Those are like $10 each, which isn't, too much if I want to just get like a couple for now. But yeah, here we got the R710. This is really all that came with it, nothing else. What I can do is upgrade this thing. So here we got, like I said, we got the 6 bays here, and this is a little bit of the bigger version, I believe. There's not a DVD drive either, so no optical drive. That has just a blank there. And now in the rest of the video, I mainly just explain all the different specs of the server, which isn't too much to go over. Basically just saying there's not too much RAM in this thing, 16 gigabytes as you saw in the specs, no drives, one power supply, CPUs are pretty good, so it's a really good upgradable server that I will definitely upgrade in the future, not just leaving it with the 4 gigabytes of RAM that I had in my old server, but yeah, definitely some upgrades in the future. One thing that is a little neat and I want to go over a little bit more is the inside of the server. That just comes off. We got all our nice instructions there, and I can just pull this off like so. So I guess starting, I don't know where to start. We'll start with the CPUs here. This thing just lifts off, no screws or anything. Got 2 CPUs. Those are Xeons, some type of Xeon. They'll be up here. I'll have it on text. Memory, we got 16 gigabytes, not a lot. I actually have 8 more somewhere because I thought it was desktop memory. It was actually server memory, which will work in this one. Won't work in a desktop though, so I can add that. It's like I said, it's an upgradable server. I will definitely see some upgrades for this thing in the future. We can fill this thing up with tons of RAM. As you can see, we got tons of sockets to put the RAM in. And we got, as you can see, we got the cooling. We got 5 fans here. Each one can be pulled out like so, easily. If one goes down, you can quickly swap it out. I don't think I'd be using that feature very much, but I guess in the data center, that's nice. Also, these get pulled up. If you want to pull these blue ones up, the whole thing will come out. We got quite a bit here. We got, let's see, the power supplies are under here. Well, one power supply, I guess. We got the risers here for PCI. I believe that's an 8X. Yeah, I think it's an 8X slot. But you can like kind of cut this plastic piece off, I saw, and put graphics cards in there. If I ever need to put graphics card in there, I guess I'll do that. Then you have your SCSI card, controller card here, and that just plugs into your other riser 1. Let's see, we got SATA. I actually put the SATA cable in. I was just gonna put actually I got an SSD, like $25, Kingston SSD. We'll put that in as the boot drive, and I'll be talking more about the operating system a little bit later. Here we got our, where it's going to go. People will usually put it in here, but I found this place just perfect, and I didn't need to, get a special thing for it. Plus, if I just take this out, I mean, I guess I could drill holes in it, but really I just found this spot right here a little bit better. And then, yeah, you just put it right there. You got your SSD. So let's install the SSD. Alright, so we got our 240 gigabyte SSD, which, by the way, I was going to get a 120 gigabyte, but I saw this one was only like $5 more. Which is not very much. I think it was on sale. So I thought, hey, I know it's the boot drive, but let's just go with 240 just in case. Now, this was mainly just going to be a very short upgrade video. That's why I cut out a lot of parts, and I will explain a little bit of data loss at the end. But for the OS, I was originally going to install Windows Server. This was because the editing software that I'm using, Vegas Movie Studio, runs only on Windows, and I was going to use this as a file server and also mainly a rendering server, just like I had that idea with my old one, but this one actually performs better than my desktop. Because I didn't require any, maybe web serving or any home lab, I guess you could say, type services on the server, I would just install Windows because, it does support Samba sharing and it can run my editing software. But as you'll see later, I ran into a few issues. So now all we have to do is boot it up and install the operating system. So ready. Okay, so it booted up fine that time, or, started up fine that time. Usually the fans, well, not usually, after being turned off, usually after being turned off for a while, the fans do go at a high speed. Here we got our boot flash drive. Goes into configuring memory. The fans start to get to a lower and lower tone, so they keep going down. So now I think I could plug it in. That'd be a good idea. Actually, it might be too late, but oh well. If I have to reboot, then I'll have to reboot. It does have a pretty long BIOS time. Usually these aren't meant to be turned on and off, but I'm not sure if I keep this on all the time. Honestly, at idle power, it's not as bad as I thought. For being a like 870 watt power supply, it's somewhere around like a little bit under 100. Okay, so we'll boot. I mean, I'm not sure if that's actually gonna just do BIOS boot manager. And hard drive C is actually up there, so that's good. We're going to do front USB cruiser, SanDisk cruiser, and yeah, it should load up Windows, and I will install that. And there we go. We are booting into Windows. It installed and gonna get set up. So I installed Windows, ran fine, and I did a test between my desktop and my server, some encodes in Handbrake, as well as some encodes in Vegas Movie Studio. For both of them, the Power Edge won, and so yeah, it'll be a decent rendering server. Now here's where things went worse after this. Since Vegas Movie Studio is an open source and there's really no documentation on the inner works of the software, I couldn't really remotely render it that easily. So for instance, if I wanted to send a rendering job to my server, I wrote a little C# program in Visual Studio, which allowed me to send the file over to the server. Worked fine. I just had to use the same mapped network drive letter on my server as my desktop. And the problem is that I had to simulate key presses to render the movie. So it would open the movie file, and then it would simulate, I believe, Shift M to render the movie, then the Enter key, and it would use the default preset for rendering the movie. Now that worked fine when Windows was unlocked, but unfortunately I usually like to keep my workstations and my server locked, and it's not going to work. So I looked around in lots of places on how to automatically unlock Windows. I found out how to unlock it on startup, but obviously I wanted it locked at all times, and I really couldn't find anything other than malware and just software that didn't work anymore that would automatically unlock your workstation for a couple seconds, simulate the key presses to render the movie, and then lock it again. So I had to look around and figure out the best solution, which was simply to install Ubuntu, install a VM, which I didn't want to do because I wanted to make Windows my main operating system, as I wanted to just allocate all the memory, all the CPU, everything to it. But I just installed Ubuntu. You might be like, oh, why didn't I use Proxmox or any VM manager? Well, simply because I wasn't really, I didn't really know too much about that at the time, which I know wasn't too long ago, but really I've looked into more home lab stuff in the past 2 months. And basically I installed Ubuntu, just a simple operating system with VirtualBox on it. And I didn't actually install it yet, so I went to install Ubuntu, and this is where the issue happened. When I was installing it, I wasn't aware, since I haven't been, too familiar with the Ubuntu server installation, so I accidentally installed it to my 8TB external storage drive instead of my internal SSD, and it wiped it. So basically that's how I lost all the data. It was my own fault. So basically, yes, I lost all my data, and that's how that happened. I did not realize it was pointing to my external drive. Fortunately, I could use some backup software. I looked all over the place. I used ones like Disk-Drill, tried like Recover. I ended up using one of the kind of like Photo Rec products, which is an open source free one, because all the other ones are basically just freeware, trialware. Not really freeware, they're just trialware and a bunch of crap that only lets you recover like 1 GB of data before you have to pay. So I used that. The real bummer is that I didn't get my files names back. I got all my videos back, but just one big folder of unnamed video files that I have to sort through, and I probably shouldn't even have done it. It wouldn't really make sense. There wasn't anything too special in there, maybe all my old videos, but I have those already uploaded. After I recovered the data, I just decided to install Ubuntu server and just use it as a bare metal install without a hypervisor or anything, because that's really all I needed. I wasn't going to use this as a home lab server, more of just a video editing server. After Ubuntu successfully installed, I added some stuff that I'd be using for my video editing, such as Samba shares and Handbrake on a Docker instance, as well as running a virtual machine on VirtualBox that would be Windows, in which I would install Vegas Movie Studio so I could remotely render all my projects. Now, I'm having some software that I'm writing in Visual Studio with this. I'm probably going to release it soon, and I'll talk about that. But basically what it will do is, I think I said before, simulate a key press, and in a virtual machine I can just leave it unlocked, obviously, because it's headless install, and there's no way for someone to really get in. Only issue is that I have to restart the whole machine if I want to remote in, because it will lock the machine in the, virtual display. The next thing I got was some storage drives, and I got these 2TB SAS drives from Hitachi, and basically these were very simple, not very expensive, but they're going to be on RAID 1, so backed up, mainly because of what happened. And I know what happened was human error, my own error, not because of a drive failure, and I'll actually still use that 8TB drive as like a, I don't know, let's say probably like a backup drive or something where I put less important files, like burned or ripped DVDs and stuff like that. I'll mainly use these 2TB ones as my video editing storage for my NAS, and I will just throw it in there. And yeah, they came with drive base, which was nice, so they'll go right into the power edge and run nicely. Now here it is if you want to see what my server is all installed like this and stuff. I have it in my custom case. I actually made that out of some plywood and 2x4s as well. Yeah, we got our new drives in there and everything. It's all running and working, and this video was edited off of this power edge, and the drives come out just like that. So basically, yeah, it's all updated, and I'd like to say that this is just not a really in-depth video. It's just a update video and stuff, just to get some content out there, because right now I don't have too much, and I've been busy with other things such as planning my videos, as well as learning with programming and stuff. I've been looking into programming and working with Linux and stuff like that. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this short, guess not that short, just kind of long update, boring video, and I will see you in the next video.